Welcome back to Real Conversations with Nora for my 65th episode. And my topic of discussion this week is equipping Black women to see the importance of being leaders in society. And joining me today is Sandra Finley. Sandra Finley is the president and CEO of the League of Black Women. She has emerged as an acclaimed communicator and has presented an institution nationwide, including Fortune 100 companies. The League of Black Women was founded in 1970, is a national organization that provides strategic leadership research to communicate the collective voices of Black women, impacting social issues and sustaining joyful living in our families, in our communities, and in our workplace. As the president of the League of Black Women, Sandra focuses on the organization on the leadership success of Black women and girls in our society. And as the premier leadership research organization for Black women, the League has carved out a distinctive niche, and Sandra is committed to innovative leadership research that leverages the authentic voices of Black women as its main focus. So thank you, Sandra, for joining me today. It's such an honor and a privilege to partner with you on this conversation. I know you're very passionate about what you do, especially with Black women and young Black girls. So how important is it for Black women to become leaders in today's world?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation to be here. And it's always nice to hear the mission. Right. Again, it's energizing. You asked the question, how important is it for Black women to become leaders? And what's cool about this is that Black women already are leaders.
I love
what we have is a multi-generational lived experience of Black women responsible for and in charge of how well we do, how well our families do, and how well our communities do. And so what we are is in that space where we have responsibility. In seeking what we're now defining as leadership, we're asking for the larger national and international power to power our responsibility in the way that we want it to go.
Right. But when you say that, it's important for us to know that because we are leaders given. I mean, the fact that we raise children, and we raise successful children oftentimes. And so oftentimes I find that women don't recognize their leadership skills or their potential to become great leaders in this society. What's your thought on that?
I think that women generally know those types of accomplishments as duty, and as a family commitment and love. It may not be the easiest bridge to cross between that and the idea of power.
Right.
But the fact is, in modern times, we learn to leverage what we have and to reach for what else we want in a larger society. Some of the things that we want to see happen in our lives, in our community, have to happen in partnership with larger public policy sectors.
Right.
Wow. And we need them to follow our lead versus tell us what little they can do to contribute to what it is they say that they can give to what we want. What Black women want is usually, I would say, pretty much always for the good of the nation.
Right. That's good. I read this article the other day and I wanted to share it with you and get your viewpoint on it. It says the African American women were interviewed and seemed to rely more heavily than their own qualities because of the frequencies which were encountered in obstacles, setback, results from interacting dynamics of race, gender, and their other identities. In each case, they bounced back and refused to get distracted or derailed and maintained moving forward on their goal as Black women. What's your thought on that?
Well, I think what it inspires me to think is that Black women get focused early in life, and we can play both a short tactical movement game and our strategic long game. Those things we visit back and forth pretty much all the time.
Right.
We have to do it, and we've learned now when we have control of it, it works to our advantage. I think that also what I like to think about Black women, Nora, is when you take care of what Black women are trying to achieve, you take care of the family because
Mhm.
we do. You take care of the family, you take care of the community. You take care of the community, you take care of the nation.
Mhm.
You're not any kind of oppositional uh,
Mhm.
space with what's good for the world and what's good for us as leaders in the world.
Mhm.
And we're good at it.
Right.
We're
Right.
good at it. And
Absolutely.
we're coming to a place now where we require more resources to
Mhm.
accomplish the goals that we see as essential, and that is why others forces are going to have to come to the table with us with something other than their knife and fork. They
Right.
got to bring something to the human table of improvement.
Right. They also went on to say that many of the women reported feeling as though they were on display, which can lead to potentially limiting self consciousness. And it also said it makes you work harder, they said, to make sure that you never are missing a step. They said one of the chief investment officers, in a sense, said that their race and gender has put these women in a light rather, and that they could be that could be exhausting to them because they're always in the spotlight trying to prove who they are, especially in this world outside of our race, in the world or the workforce. What's your thought about that?
This sounds like an inclusion
Mhm.
perspective of discussion. So,
Mhm.
so here's what is important about that summation. It is not us who
Right,
are putting ourselves in any kind of spotlight of singularity. It
right.
is the systems that we are trying to be a part of
Mm,
open the door so that we are not ones and onlys, you know,
mm,
or unique. We are supposed to be part of our communal experience in all of the places where we are. And until companies, corporations get over the idea that they have, when having one of us, they have all of us,
right,
or
right,
two of us, they have all of us. Until they get past that broken paradigm, they are going to continue to be unnecessarily burdensome to us as a career experience. And at the same time, they're going to limit the benefit that they can have by having a more open free opportunity for many of us to participate in what success looks like.
right. And then there was also a statement that one said that there are so many rooms that I've gone into, she said, in my life, and I was the only Black person. And I immediately started to see that this is an advantage, and said to the vice chair of the investment firm, because they're going to look at, who we are and listen to what we say. They're wondering, how in the world did we get here? Number one, that's their first thought. So I have the opportunity to get their attention. All I have to do is deliver into that space. What's your thought on that?
You know, I experienced that too for an earlier part of my career, and then I learned to do something that I wanted to do. I stopped going into these rooms by myself.
That's a good point. Good
I just
point.
quit doing it. The fact is, if I was going to enter a room at invitation, I simply assumed that I had the authority to carry with me who I wanted to.
Right.
So I started inviting sisters to come with me to so and so meeting,
Mhm.
or come with me to so and so presentation. I take a whole row of them and say, "Here, this
Right.
is my community."
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And you can't ask people permission, to step into our own freedoms.
Hmm.
So when we have the unique opportunity, someone knows your name, to invite you by name, use that as an opportunity to wedge the door open and carry others with whose names they don't know yet.
Right.
And,
Right.
and let us stop that limiting behavior, because the
Right.
assumption that you by yourself are going to be
Right.
everything and all
Right.
the thing and all
Right.
that kind of business is something that's already been played, and we see
Mhm.
what the result is of that, and it simply isn't enough.
Right.
We should not fall into that particular trap
Right.
anymore. We should be smarter than that.
Right. I love that. I love that thought of just taking more women with you. And they went on to say that how important this person, or I'm sure, assuming that the person that they were one of the people that they were interviewing, as a top executive, owning your power and who you are and not limiting yourself because of the thoughts or the attitude of others, but holding on increasingly and defining who you are and your self being, your being of, this powerful Black person, who you are, not what other people say that you are. So what's your thought on that? Because it said, she also went on to say, you have to seek out the message and the people who affirm your identity of who you are and not who they think you are. So I
Wow.
thought that was pretty interesting.
And the weight of that is that you have to keep teaching everywhere you go,
I love it.
where you are, everything from how to address you
Hmm.
to what your responsibilities and your power might be, or your role might be in the gathering, the meeting, if you will. The good news is that we're made for these times to do
Right.
just that. This is
Right.
this is a multi-generational campaign to lift our people, and the modern Black woman has all of that.
Hmm.
I honestly think that the people on the other side of the table are waiting for that.
Right.
They're looking for it. They're looking for what new thing is it that you bring to
Hmm.
the space. I like to think that we are now wise enough to know that very little of what we have to bring has to be new at all. It simply has
Right.
to be fair and right.
Right.
And we stand on that. I
Right.
remember being in a conversation,
Hmm.
some people at an important institution, a nonprofit some years ago, but a big thing.
Right.
And they were talking about the difficulty of supporting Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. This is back in
Hmm.
ago, and suggesting that they would not have the budget, they thought, to make a special event of his birthday. So what they were going to do was to say that we'll just celebrate him all through the year.
Hmm.
And I listened to that, and I was literally not really. Oh, I, so I'm sitting there, and I said, you know what I'm hearing is that the United States government has declared his birthday, and you're saying we're just not going to do it here because it doesn't fit the budget. Is that what I'm hearing? And,
Right.
and they, well, Sandra, not quite that. We said we're going to do all along the way. And I said, well, then here's the deal. You are wrong, and that's not going to happen here on my watch.
Right.
I'm not going to stand for. I'm not asking for all your votes and whatever. I'm saying
Hmm.
this approach to how you do redistribute money won't
Hmm.
happen this way. And then one woman who was at that point chairing the meeting, Nora, said, well, Sandra, we've talked to other Black people and who we know, and they don't have a problem with it. I
Wow.
said, I'll take your Black people and raise you 10. How many Black people I got to bring up in here with me?
Right.
It's like,
Right.
what we're going to do here? Oh,
Right.
no, Sandra, we're not going to. I said,
Right.
well then. And
Mhm.
and as I got back from all of that, it mattered that I was in the room. It mattered that I was whole, and it mattered that I was never alone in the room, because I could really call my sisters, and they would be there,
Right.
and they would bring others with them, and there would
Right.
be the discussion, because sometimes they assume because they just see you that you are singularly as they meant for you to be by yourself. That's
Right.
never the case.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, how important is for us as Black women, professional Black women, powerful Black women, and successful Black women to support each other, especially as women, in these environments? Like, for example, that's a perfect example. You knew immediately that you had a group of women that would support you on this, that you could bring, but not only would you bring them, they would bring others. And I think it's so important that my thought is that we get that message out that we are here to support each other, and obviously each of us have different careers and different platforms. But I think just the fact that we can support each other and show our young girls, as you have stated in your bio, the importance of leadership, raising to that level of leadership. And like you said, not stooping to other people's level, but raising up to our level of who we are. What's your thought on that?
My thought is that our research shows in all sorts of places, but for us, there would be no accomplishments for you to comment on today. We already are supporting one another, all the way from littleness to when you are going through school or whatever rigor of academic preparation to professional. But for other Black women, it would not be possible.
Mm,
It would not be possible what we do. What we don't get is credit
for
for
it. Mm,
for it. And then we also get uh, the ruse of having to deal with the idea that we don't help each other. It would not be
right,
possible.
right.
I am president and CEO of an organization founded by a Black woman at
Mm,
the kitchen table in Hyde Park. All
right.
right. And she saw me when I was a puppy.
Mm,
Not by myself. She saw lots of sisters. But I remember when she noticed me, and I was saying something I shouldn't have been saying about something I didn't know very much about with my little stuff. And she said, you. come with me.
Mm,
Come with me. And she spent the afternoon showing me uh,
mhm.
things in a perspective that I had not matured enough in the world to see.
Right,
Doing so, she did not disparage me. She
right.
taught me and she
Mm,
embraced me and
mm,
lifted me. And
mhm.
other opportunities in my life, in college, when I got a tap on the shoulder saying I could sign up for this program and travel to a foreign country. And went to the payphone in the hallway and called my mama.
Mhm.
Mama, they say if I sign up now, I can go on a student tour to so and so country and whatever. What do you think, Mama? And Mama said, yes, you can go. And then she gave me advice on which country to pick and that sort of thing. And she herself had none of that privilege. But
Mm,
years later, when I had my own children and I was so protective and I knew the terror of,
right.
I asked her, Mom, how in the world did you ever on a phone call make a decision that quick to say that I could go to a foreign country? How could you do that? Because I'm a mama now and I don't want them out of my sight, not for
Right.
a minute. And she said, I made a decision not to make you afraid because I was.
Wow.
Wasn't that something?
That is so powerful.
And nobody will write that down and let that be in somebody's ledger and whatever, but she did that then. And
Wow.
I have learned to do that now. And we are doing it all the time,
Right.
sending each other forward and getting each other prepped and ready to go.
Right.
And the people who do that, they don't know our names.
Right.
They don't
That's
know our
so
names. That
powerful.
doesn't mean we're not there.
Right. Oh my goodness, that was so powerful. She did that just because she was afraid. She didn't want to put that on you. And I
Yeah.
loved about the teacher that the woman in that meeting, she saw something in you. She didn't let you just stay there. She
Mm-mm.
wanted to educate you and lift you up to that level. Oh my goodness, that is so powerful. So do you feel it is your job to make sure that the voices of Black women are heard and that they are impacted, continuing to impact the social issues that we face each day while sustaining in the joy, like you said, in your families and your communities and in the workplace? Could you give us your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that is the work of League of Black Women. Our focus is on leadership development and evolution and what impact it makes, what difference does it make when we lead, and what happens in the world when we are absent or
Right.
prevented from it. So
Right.
that is what we do. At the same time, it's a public service mission. The
Mm,
nation needs us in spaces and places.
right.
All
I
right. The nation, the world needs us in spaces and places. And so leadership itself is a service. Some people look at it and see some perks of privilege, but I assure you, anybody who has had the leadership chair in any way for 22 minutes will know the weight of it. If
hmm
you stay there and you do what you can, and then you pass it on to others, and you do that is positively heroic.
Right.
And my sisters are heroic everywhere where they are, which is why the League incorporated my idea of a value for joyful living.
Hmm
All right. You cannot just think you're going to work this life,
Right.
live this life, and enjoy your time in this space. There has to be not work life balance, there has to be life integration of
hmm
all of the elements that are nurturing and nutritious for how we live. I
hmm
want my sisters to be able to rest at night and not have their little brains just running, 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 running. I
Right.
want their stomachs not to hurt. I want them to not be so concerned about that they got to look a certain way in order to be perceived as
Mm,
value. All
right.
right. And,
Right.
and mostly, I want them to have love,
Right.
compassion in
Mm,
their lives,
right.
face forward. And I want them to be safe
Right.
in the world.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you and your organization, just like that person in that meeting, took the time to educate you, took the time to lift you up, took the time to show you a different perspective. Um, you're doing the same thing. You're doing the same thing. The organization is doing the same thing. The women that are with you are doing the same thing. It's like a teaching and it's like a ripple effect. It's like going on and on and on, and we just keep on doing the same thing so that we can get, like you said, those positive results and just know who we are as Black women and that we have power and that we own power and that we are powerful speakers, teachers, motivators, inspirate. I mean, the list could go, pastors and preachers. I mean, the list could go on and on and on. And I just love it. I absolutely love your thoughts about it and your theory about it. So I just want to thank you for being our guest on Real Conversations with Nora today. Are there any last minute comments that you would like to share with the audience before leaving?
I would like for the audience to pay attention to the movement and the trend of Black women.
Mm,
Generations, a few generations ago, we were striving to be educated people.
right.
And then we were striving on the other side of the education to be professional people and
Hmm.
get those jobs, the white collar jobs. And now Black women have embraced entrepreneurism as the way forward. There are
Right.
more Black women opening businesses than any other demographic in the United States today. So the League's focus is on helping those business leaders grow their businesses from small to mid-sized enterprise.
Hmm.
At that point, at that space of scope and size, they start to have the power of a footprint that changes the world.
Hmm.
And that is where we're going. And by the way, sisters didn't ask nobody's permission to do this. They just
Did it.
did it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, once again, I want to thank you for being our guest on Real Conversations with Nora, but most importantly, your insight on today's topic and how powerful it has been. And to my Real Conversation with Nora audience, please follow us on social media, on Instagram at BWOTMFG, and on Facebook at Businesswomen on the Move for God. You can visit our website at bwotmfg.com and sign up for our new programs. And make sure you stop by a retail store each week and shop for not only you, but for your family and your friends, especially as we come upon this holiday season. And ask your friends to watch the show each week and share with others. And I look forward to seeing you next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Real Conversations with Nora. God bless you and have a prosperous and awesome week.